Hello everybody, welcome back to Beyond the Textbook. This is Aisha at Elite Language Center with one of our great teachers, Rachel.
Hello.
And Rachel's been with us a couple of years now, but I'm going to just let Rachel introduce herself first. Tell us about yourself, where you're from, and so on.
Well, hello guys. As she said, my name is Rachel. I am from the USA. I'm from the East Coast, if you're familiar with American cities. I'm from near Washington, D.C., and I grew up in a small town, but I love big cities, so I enjoy living here in Malaysia, where we're coming to you from today.
Okay, good. So our topic today is watching television good for learning English? Okay, now this is a topic that, first of all, I think we need to define the boundaries of our topic because television's changed a lot, just even in the last 5 years. So let's say, would we include, actually, I'll tell you what we'll do first. I want you to tell me, Rachel, what was television to you when you were, say, like a teenager?
Sure. So television, we had cable, and satellite dish became a thing when I was a teen. Before that, it was just the local TV channels, and whatever was on TV, we had no choice over that. So we went home, but we knew there were different channels, different topics, some for children, some for the adults, some for the old folks. And then once I got to high school, we got the cable package, and so we had a couple hundred channels, various things, and we started watching more of that. My parents gave us more freedom to be able to do that after school, because when I was young, the TV channels weren't that great, so we didn't spend a lot of time watching TV. Actually, when we were young, we spent a lot of our time playing outdoors and doing more creative things. So yes, TV definitely has changed over the last 20 years.
Yeah, and I know, I mean, even for myself, I mean, okay, I'm older than you. I mean, TV where I grew up, which was in New Zealand, back in the early days, it was only one channel. Then suddenly it sort of expanded to 3 channels. But each of the 3 channels had the same thing. You would always have children's programs at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because that's when school finished. Then you would always have teenage ones sort of like from 5 to 6. Then you would always have the news at 6. And then after that, like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, you'd have like more adult dramas and so on. Basically all about how we live our life. The TV, the way the TV programs were laid out was basically how we lived our lives. We didn't, in New Zealand at that time, we didn't have TV in the morning. So when TV started in the morning, that was huge.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, you know, not wanting to when I got up in the morning, we'd switch the TV on, and I'd think, that guy is always looking at me. Like wherever I went in the room, this is the guy who was telling the news at 8 o'clock in the morning. He's always looking at me, no matter where I am. Anyway, that's the TVs that we grew up with, but just in the last 5 years it's changed, and I noticed nowadays a lot of people don't subscribe to the big cable networks anymore.
Packages. Yeah, it's a lot more user, what's the word I'm looking for? It's tailored to the people and what they want. You can choose what you want when you want, especially Netflix. TV now isn't so much channels that you choose and you know what's going to come on, and you get ready and you make sure that you're ready at 7 o'clock to watch the latest news. Actually now when you want to watch news, you just pull up the latest feed and you can watch it all day long. Or if you want to watch something entertaining like you used to watch after the news, then you just choose something on Netflix, and you can choose it when you want it, you can choose what you wanted, and there's a lot more freedom in that now. So TV really has changed a lot these days.
And I think one of the things that used to define television to me was you would watch a program and then probably every 30 minutes or 20 minutes there would be an ad. I know on YouTube there's some channels that are a bit, some programs a bit like that. But you have to sort of skip ad.
There's a 30-second ad or 30-second video, some kind of marketing before that as well. It used to be, even for us, we knew that in a 1-hour TV show we would have 4 commercial breaks. And if you needed to use the toilet, You waited till the commercial break
time.
and you would run and you would come back. And now it's like, oh, if you have to do something, you can just pause the TV or pause the video and then go. And so it's it's very much different now these days.
Yeah, but I think the focus is really, in terms of our topic, is about let's say television, the boundaries that we're going to make. Television to us today in our podcast will include some social media videos. It's really about anything that's accessible to us on a daily basis that is using the English to give information, to have drama, to watch dramas, right?
Yeah, it looks any kind of video information.
Any
kind of video information.
Yeah. So let's say that's the parameter of what we're talking about.
Sure.
So there's a few things I know that it's always great to watch videos for people learning English. Can you tell us about perhaps one of the real benefits you notice?
So I think one of the best reasons to watch TV is because it's a visual thing. And so if you're listening to audios in class, you're only hearing half of the conversation. So if you're watching a video, you're able to see people moving, you're able to see their body language, but you're able to see native speakers using the grammar that you have learned. You're able to see them using it in a conversation. You're able to see them use it correctly and chunking it together in a way. And so it's real life. It's not simulated like a classroom or a textbook could be.
Right.
It's much more natural. And so it's difficult if you're living in a country and you're studying the language and that you're not able to really use it much outside the class. TV is a great place to actually go do that, where you're not going to have that conversation with other people. That's a different thing, speaking, but you're able to see it used correctly. And so that's going to build on the skills that you're going to learn in the classroom.
Exactly. Yeah. And I noticed too, it's a good chance for people to see exactly what you're saying. They see it in use, but they see how people sometimes change the language slightly when they're talking. For example, I know in the US there's a common phrase, how you doing? How you doing? And how you doing?
Or even how you been? How you been? Right?
Yeah.
And the grammar is completely wrong.
Totally wrong.
Not in a textbook anywhere. It shows that people over time, we shorten things and we change things, and we love playing with words. We love using things. We love telling jokes and making puns with these things. Yeah, you're right. When you're watching TV, it's going to be something that is very functional, that you're not going to see as technically in a grammar textbook or in a book. You're able to see people do this, and so you're able to learn more than you would in a classroom, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And also, if people are going to be watching, particularly like action, I know a lot of action films, there's a lot of slang being used. I know there's American slang, there's British slang, there's New Zealand slang, and I know I've had students come to me the next day and say, hey, teacher, the guy on the action movie last night said this, da-da-da-da. What does it actually mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a good chance to be exposed to other kinds of language that is still considered English, but you might not be taught that in the actual classroom. Yeah,
and I think that's one of the things about TV and using that for language is because today's world very, very much is so digital, and so many people are watching videos and sharing their own photos on Instagram and these things that you're constantly exposed to other people's ideas and other things, and so it's so much more global than it used to be, especially when I was younger, when my parents were younger, and so the kind of language and vocabulary that you heard was only from your region.
That's true.
From your country. And
That's
so now,
true,
because it's so global, you're watching videos from people from other countries, and so you're hearing vocabulary and language that you wouldn't necessarily hear where you're from, and so you're able to learn that more quickly. You're exposed to that more. And so, therefore, the language that you can learn is a more rounded language, I guess you could say. Understanding for people's perspectives as well. It reflects cultures and how they use the slang to talk about things that they see, and it's a different perspective.
And even I believe in the US, there's like East Coast slang, and then there's West Coast slang as well, right? It's slightly different. And I know with some of the songs you mentioned to me about earlier on today, you mentioned something about in the music.
They use words that even it's, if you don't stay on top of it, I don't know why. They change the meaning in words, and students ask me, "Teacher, what does this word mean?" And I'm like, well, in the dictionary I know what it means, but in the context of friendships, relationships, high school problems, life problems, boyfriend, girlfriend, love, and these things, I don't know what it means. So it's constantly changing so fast. If you watch TV, if you're watching videos on YouTube, you're going to see these things, and you can learn them where you're not going to keep, because they can't print books fast enough with these
keep
things.
Up with
exactly.
It.
So it's really a great way to do that.
And also I believe exactly, just sort of like going further in what you were saying before, you do get exposed to lots of different languages, if you like, versions of English, and also different accents.
Sure. Exactly. For example, I follow people on my Instagram that are not American, and so I am hearing British or Australian and Western countries, English-speaking people, but with different countries, different cultures, different accents. I'm listening to them and watching their videos, and so even myself, I'm learning how words are pronounced and how they're spoken. And so, as a teacher, even for me, that's beneficial for me to understand what is the difference. So this helps me when I'm teaching in my class. When a student comes to me and they say, "Teacher, what is this word?" and they say this word with an accent that's unfamiliar to me, then I realize, oh, they're actually saying a word that we know. They're speaking a word that I know, an English word, but I'm learning. So if I, as a teacher, stay in tune with the kinds of accents, I'm able to teach my students better. And so for sure students can see that, and they can see the difference, and that kind of together helps build fluency. Like when the students hear different accents, or when you watch different videos, and they hear the way words are put together, it helps them with their listening. It helps them with different pronunciation. It helps them to know what is correct, and it helps them to really just feel more confident when they're speaking, that other people are going to understand them.
Yeah, I think in particular alternative pronunciations is one thing, like exactly what you said, that for example, the way the Americans would say dance, and British will say dance. You know, that small subtle differences.
Or the ER ending is very different across the ocean from Americans, or the T's, the famous American T, water.
Water.
These kinds of things, And so, so for sure, if students are watching TV, if you watch TV, you're going to hear these things and you're going to understand. If you hear this word isolated, only this word as a language learner, you're not going to understand it. But if you're watching TV and you see someone order a glass of water in a restaurant and you hear them say this word this way, then you're going to know what it means. And so TV helps you with the visual. If there's an accent that you aren't familiar with, or if there's a different pronunciation that you're not familiar with, watching something, having a video with it, I think really will help help those alternate pronunciations really stick in your mind.
And what do you think? Do you think subtitles are okay?
Subtitles, that's a good question.
If someone's sitting back, they got their in the Middle East, they've got their favorite American sitcom or whatever, and it's got Arabic subtitles that start with that. Do you think?
Yes.
Do you think that's useful for them at all?
Yeah. So subtitles can be a beneficial thing, and they can be harmful in some way. So if you're watching a TV show or a video or something in a language is not your native tongue, and you're watching with subtitles in your language, there are good things because you're able to understand what's going on. You're able to keep up with it. You're able to hear all these things that we've talked about. You're able to see and hear native English being spoken. But it's not necessarily going to, I don't think so, at least. I'm not saying I'm a researcher on this, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be able to really expand your vocabulary or your grammar that much, because even though you're going to be hearing it, you're going to be reading in something that's your language. So your brain is going to be constantly switching back and forth, and it's not going to be able to make those connections on their own. And so subtitles in your native tongue are fine if you're needing to be able to understand what's going on, if you're needing some information, if you're watching a show and your language skills aren't that great. Subtitles are fine. But as far as being a language learner, if you're wanting to learn a language audio visually and watching a video in a native in the foreign language, I think subtitles in your language aren't necessarily the best thing. I think to be able to put them, I think you need as many inputs. You need to listen, you need to see, you need to hear, you need to speak. All of these things together to become fluent in a language. And so if you're going to watch something to learn in English, subtitles in the same language I think are better. Because then you're able to hear and see at the same time. And so then you're able to hear the pronunciation and see it written and see the grammar structure and hear the intonation and the pronunciation, all of it together. And that way you're going to increase your skills faster that way. So subtitles are great if you're watching TV and you're not there necessarily to learn. They're great to be able to have some audio input. But if you're really wanting to increase your vocabulary, if you're really wanting to increase your grammar knowledge, then doing it in English with English subtitles is going to be the best, because then you're getting multiple inputs. You're learning from multiple learning styles and input systems, and so I think that's how they are. But
so tell me, do you have Netflix? Do you use that?
I do have Netflix.
Okay. Do you find, it's a question.
Okay.
Do you find, because I notice a lot of things in Netflix are, maybe it's Netflix, or maybe I could be wrong, someone's going to correct me on this. You get a TV program, or you get a series of programs, are sometimes written with English subtitles. The person is speaking English in the program, and there is English subtitles as well. Have you seen that? You may not have even noticed it.
Oh, sometimes it's like we call it closed captioning or something. It's just a thing that.
So I noticed I always end up reading the subtitles.
Yeah. So I have a friend now. Think about it. She doesn't have the greatest hearing, and so when she watches Netflix, she'll watch TV. You shouldn't sit very close to your TV, so she sits across her living room. And she watches TV in English as a native speaker with English subtitles. And so when I go to her house, now that when I go to her house and we watch a movie, she says, "Sorry, I can't hear." And so she puts on the subtitles. And so I read them and I watch them instead of watching the movie, even though I know what's happening. Now I have done this before, though. I've watched a British TV show. And because I'm American, the British has a very much harsher pronunciation, and so I will put on the subtitles so I can understand a few words. But I still watch them. I still read them when I'm watching TV.
I just find it a little bit, when my ears get a bit lazy, I just click into the subtitles. But anyway, that's subtitles. So anyway, I think we've covered some ideas about watching television. I think we can agree that it's actually quite a good thing.
For sure.
And particularly these days when we have so much exposure to so much English from around the world. Like you, I grew up with only one kind of English only. And so tuning into different accents was a bit tough. So is there anything else you would like to say? Any closing comment about watching television to improve your English?
Not so much about television, but I want to say good luck to you who are listening. Thank you for listening, and good luck to you who are learning and wanting to improve your language skills. I wish you all the best. You are doing a great thing to learn English.
You're changing your life, basically. Okay, and thank you, Rachel, for talking to us today about this, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Inshallah.
Okay. Inshallah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye.